Yep, ready.
What episode is it? 7.
Can start now.
8.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spitfire. This is season 2, episode 8. Apparently, I thought it was 7, but apparently it is 8. Of course, this is a great show, as I say this every week. But this one is about post Miami, the Pro League playoffs and the open bracket play-in. Of course, my name is Brice. I'll be bringing you the topics and trying to rein in our guests. Not going to be very hard this week. Joining me, of course, Chris Tunn doing production and jumping in for every single one of these, and more importantly, our guest for this week. Why have you just moved my camera off?
Yeah, it was too big.
He's back. Don't worry.
Unbelievable.
Hey, Brice,
anyway,
you ready for my introduction, Brice?
Phil,
You ready?
Phil, you're our guest for this week. How are you?
I am upside down. I'm absolutely fine. I'm happy to have had an amazing Miami. I think we all obviously spent a lot of time together anyway, but it was one of those events which I don't think any of us have been to Miami. The vibes are amazing. The games are incredible. There was so much money on the line, and I think it just, I don't know. I don't think there's one negative I can think about during Miami, except for the little technical difficulties in the final. But overall, it was just a great event, I thought.
Yeah, it certainly was, and we now get to cover it. If you aren't watching, you didn't catch it earlier on, we are going to jump straight into talking about the Mountain Dew AMP game for open bracket. Mainly because we now have our other 16 teams for champs, so we'll go over it a little bit briefly first and then go into the main tournament playoffs. I'll just go talk about this Mind Freak. Let's just start there.
Well, shit.
Oh my God.
I don't know what to say. I honestly have no idea. Apparently they had a role change.
Yep.
And stopped shooting back.
Yep.
I didn't know about this role change until 2 seconds ago, which you just said. Of course, I wasn't involved with the open bracket as much, but the first thing I saw was my phone blowing up, kind of saying Mind Freak in the lower bracket, Mind Freak. Like, they were the one team that everyone knew that was qualifying. It was Mind Freak and who else is qualifying. And I do feel really, really bad for them because it was first place, second place, and then.
Well, it's worse. It's worse than that. It was they've been in every single grand final, and they only lost the very first one they were in.
And that was
to the
won
everyone since.
It was to the phase with Simp and Cell and that. Yeah,
And
which
Nathan,
are all now pros. So it's really bizarre to me, A, if that role change actually happened, and B, even if the role change happened, that team, if you're in the grand finals back to back, like, a role change shouldn't mean you place top 64 or whatever. I'm gutted for them, I'm not going to lie, because I like all of them, and I think they represent that region well.
It made no sense. When we heard it, when we saw it, like, here's the thing. We basically, because we have a list of notable teams, right? Because obviously it's impossible to cover 128 teams. So I think we pick out, I think every national qualifier gets in there. And then there's because normally it's like another 10 teams we keep an eye on. I think this time there was 20 other teams we kept an eye on. That goes into our list for the open bracket. And that's why those usually get like priority on the station so we can see them as they go through, and occasionally just some other close games that maybe the community put forward. Mind Freak, we weren't actually going to watch them till like later rounds because we knew there was no point.
Yeah,
we usually catch them like first game just to like intro people or show them sort of thing. And that was the one they lost.
Yeah, to Excalibur.
Yeah, we watched it against Excalibur. I think like losing in the winners bracket was a shock. I think the fact that they went out was a bigger shock. I mean, there's been plenty of teams who can sometimes come in a little bit cold. You lose your game against somebody you just don't know. Excalibur ended up finishing what I think was like top 12. So it's not like they lost to somebody completely shit. Like, they lost to a team they should always be beating, but at the same time, you know, there was that. But it was the fact that they then went on to lose in losers, which was the big one for me. I was like, well, yeah, okay, we can excuse a slight bump in the road in the winners bracket, but from then on out, it's just making life more difficult. They went to quite a few map 3s before we obviously got the best out of 5s, and they ended up finishing not even like in the qualification game. It was top 32.
I think when they dropped down to the lower bracket, everyone was like, "Oh, it's just going to be a really long grand final now."
Well, that's what we thought. That's what we thought. We were just like, well.
Speaking of top 32, like, that Mind Freak is the big shock. I was also surprised to see Giants drop out there.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think Giants were going to win it, but they had Sucre that come in, and I was like, okay, you know, I felt fairly positive about this team. Should definitely make champs. like there are some names in here. Like I'm just looking. I mean, obviously, Killer was fucking hilarious, because it was like we had a big discussion about Killer. I'm not saying it's hilarious because I want to see him lose. It was just we had this massive discussion on the desk about Killer, and I said, I don't know what's going to happen. If he's that caliber of player like he was World Championships Black Ops 2, and we get halfway through the game and they don't look like an amazing team, and then they get disqualified, which is basically the most Killer thing you can do. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, one of those, isn't it? I think it was something to do with one of the controllers died or something, or somebody got blue screen, and they automatically ended the game. Whereas you have to wait until the referee says.
If it was blue screen, the blue screen would have showed they had a problem, a technical fault, like controller wise, and then they were like, just turn my PS4 off, and it's like, nope, you cannot do that.
Nope.
Yeah, that's not the rule.
Yeah,
that's unfortunately not the rule.
It's unfortunate, but it's one of those things where you have to follow the rules. Like, they can't make them different for
I
other
honestly
people.
thought it was a meme when I was first told.
Oh yeah,
I honestly thought, because Rich was the one who found out, because obviously he was hosting, he had the production in his ear. I honestly thought he was joking, and then I just had to kind of continue on. I was like, I don't understand this.
I just learned the chat people saying that the ref was watching another game or something, but we don't control the referees, to be fair.
We also don't control the rules.
But yes, very true. Yeah.
It's nothing new. We just report the news. We don't make it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that I couldn't believe like that happened after all the conversation we had about Killer and stuff, and then he gets disqualified. Honestly, it was such a meme. But I was looking through to see if there's anyone else like big who didn't kind of make it through. And I've only gone down to top 64. The only people I kind of see, like movie star riders.
Tal didn't either, which was disappointing. That's with
Where did
Maple
they come? What's it called? Ferrer didn't make it either, did he?
Yeah, but to be fair,
wasn't it because they didn't have their fifth? Yeah.
Yeah, so you can sort of allow them, I think.
Didn't Ferrer's team smoke somebody though? Who'd they smoke?
I'm going to bring the bracket
Mochila didn't make it either. Mochila's
no, that's not surprising.
Moch didn't make it. Kulash was got Colgren. That's the Italian team. Some teams that we expected to be there just didn't kind of make it. But going into who did make it, let's be a little bit more positive now.
Oh, sorry, one more. Movie Star Riders top 48. They finished.
I
top
got that.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing about this, right? Is why we can some of these not expecting to make it. This was definitely the most stacked open bracket we've ever had. It's not even close. We had so many more notable teams this event because there are so many more notable teams, and even then, a good portion didn't make it. Look at the people who did make it. We're starting with who we got legend status here. It's got like Phenom, Pure, Foncho, which is a great name, going through. But I don't think they were on a notable list. Fuego was. That was Mad Cat Hawkeye, and they almost didn't make it, by the way. Like, that was a super close game. They dropped into the loser bracket and had to make it through the loser bracket.
Saying that, if you look at, Legend Status finished top 12 in Anaheim. I know you're saying it's more stacked, but they've had past history, I suppose. But realistically, we were never really looking at them outside. But they weren't on any sort of noble team list, etc. But the biggest one was Excalibur, 100%. Top 12 finish in the end for them.
Infinity, I'm saying they weren't on our list. They weren't on our list because we had so many more teams in the Infinity on the notable list this time. They didn't make our put them on the station priority list. Even if they come top 12 last time, like I said, it was even them coming top 16. It kind of showed that it was a more stacked bracket. Yeah. Fire Stick's coming through. Excalibur was the big shock, right?
100%. They were number one. And I think, it's not even just the fact that they qualified. It was the fact that they beat Manfred, and then straight away they were on everybody's lips, and then they went on to do actually really quite well in the end.
Didn't they beat Fuego? Was it? Then we also beat Fuego.
I'll have to.
I was trying to remember who else they ended up taking down.
Here's
the other issue with the open bracket.
They beat Fuego.
Because when we watch the games, we actually cover 4 games at a time. It's so hard to get some of these games right in my head because we jump from map to map to map to map.
It's a blur for the most part. It has to be.
Yeah, it's a genuine. And bearing in mind, we're covering 8 teams at a time. We're covering 8 teams at a time, and it's constant. So
yes.
we were jumping through maps, and I'm like trying to remember what on earth the last series score was because we've just watched 4 hard points back to back.
The Excalibur played Fuego and beat them 3-2 in the round to qualify.
Yeah, and they weren't even on our radar, right? That was like top 28 at Anaheim, so we'd never had any radar, and they'd only been to a few events.
Not even that.
And Awakening, or however they want to say it, was great.
Yeah, he was
I honestly think he was great. He was snapping in that 9-3 game.
They were all pretty good, in all honesty. I think he was the standout, it has to be said, but they all had their moments. And they looked like a decent little team. I think it was a top 48 finish or something like that. I think Shift put out last time. I'll actually have a look because they were the same team, but I think they had maybe a different roster. Anaheim, they finished top 48, so that was the same team except they didn't have Willett in there. But bearing in mind, Awakening and D'Lo and Landon, it was a pretty much a whole new team coming into Anaheim. They finished top 48, and then they managed to finish top 12 at this event. Awakening has his first official event was Anaheim.
Yeah. Divinely, the Germans were actually on our noble list, but I was like, I don't know how. After London, I was like, London's a little bit of a special case because obviously there was more European teams than there was American teams, right? So normally you don't see as a stacked bracket, and this was a very stacked bracket. So I was like, I don't know. And then obviously they still managed to make it here. Other notable things here. I want to talk about Mesa quickly because I don't want to spend too long on the open bracket because obviously there's like a ton of stuff to digest with that.
Yeah.
Mesa, didn't we see them lose earlier in the tournament? Like I feel like we watched them and it was just not good. Or at least they lost one of the hard points like in a big way.
They lost their first hard point, I think, on Arsenal on winners round 2. But we don't have...
That was it, because I was like, oh, God. I think that was it, because I remember, I was like, winners round 2. Losing the first hard point is just not something you expect from a team that's like ranked that highly and it's got like Pazillion on stuff and Spacely.
I don't think you get to see the map scores on MLG.
No, that's the other reason why I want to cover this too much. We don't have all the map scores because obviously we watched 8,000.
I also didn't see any of this, so for anyone who's thinking is Momo's mic muted, I just didn't see any of this. I'm really interested to kind of hear about it from your side of it and how things broke down, because I didn't even know half this stuff. But
it was against.
I think the biggest difference between the pros and the AMs at the moment is consistency. I think because of the roster lots of stuff, you're seeing a lot more changes go on. So some of these teams are just so different event to event. It's difficult to like keep an eye on it. I think now that I've got 3 weeks to grind, some of them could be definitely a challenge, and that's where I want to kind of go next here. Let's talk about the final. Other notable teams, by the way, Sage. We thought they were one of our favourites coming into this. Sicario, we kept an eye on very much.
Yeah.
Team Singularity was also very good. Good amount of Europeans made it, which is surprising.
Good amount of Europeans. I think somebody pointed out to me about Singularity. They did really good, but I think, and someone might tell me I'm wrong, they didn't play one top 16 team until they played the boys in the winners semis. Or something like that.
Have a query because I was told a different prize pool. And they've got the prize pool here on the esports video. Anyway, the boys and Team War were our final. What a final that was!
Oh, it was cracking.
Oh, that was amazing.
What were you told about the prize pool?
Well, it says here 125 and 80k, and I thought it was 60 and 36.
It wasn't.
I've got 60 and 36 here.
Yeah, I don't know why on esportspedia it says 125,000 for the winner. I don't think that was the case.
No, it definitely
because that's higher than top 4. In the Pro League playoff.
It was 60.
Yeah. So that's wrong.
Anyway, final.
But let's talk about the final. These two teams, because it was interesting to make these two teams come through, right? Because the Team War were, outside of Mindfreak, our #1 pick for the bracket. And then in like the boys was probably like third, or maybe Mazer or Sage, or one of those. But it was like, obviously Mindfreak was our first team, and we thought maybe we'd see Team War again. But both these two teams really stepped up and kind of pushed it, if you know what I mean. Like this was, and you could tell that these two teams knew each other so much in that final. Because I just felt like constantly I was just saying it's all tied up again, it's all tied up again, it's all tied up again. Like every single hard point, I think all the controls but one, the S&Ds were tight. Although sometimes the score didn't always reflect that. It was very good to see these two.
Yeah,
it was a crazy final. It was the best final we've had all year for the open bracket.
100%.
It was the best weekend of COD I think we've seen all year as well. Like I remember waking up and you guys obviously had a really early start, but it was back and forth, and I was like, It was mainly the hard points. It was just 50-50, 70-70, 100-100. And then someone's got to kind of get away and then it came back. But I think that's kind of, again, there was just two really good teams. Either of those teams could have won it. You got to feel bad for the loser. But it was a super, super close game. It was, 10 maps down to the last S&D?
Yeah. All the way. There's a couple of maps that they did blow each other out on. Mostly the controls, you want to say, and they were the ones that really sort of did go backwards and forwards in one different direction. But the majority of the maps really, really close. I think only the hard point on Arsenal second time round. The rest of the hard points were close. Controls, as I said, each one in the grand final was fairly one-sided. The frequency was well one-sided the first series, and then the S&Ds backwards and forwards as well. I think if we're going to talk about maps that might have swung it, I think it was the payload search when War were 2 up and Shawnee got a 1v3. So that is just like things like that do swing it. And we were speaking to the guys at the airport, and they were like, "Yeah, they felt that was the turning point," because that would have put War up 2-0 in the second best out of 5. And
best performance I've seen from Bance this entire year.
Yeah, 100%.
He looked much more comfortable, much more comfortable, just running the Sorg and just going berserk. Even with his ICR on S&Ds, fantastic. Shawnee as well, by the way. His KD. So I had to look at the KD stats. His KD didn't show it, but some of the kills he was getting, unreal in terms of like importance more than anything else. Yeah. Like 2 pieces or just locking down a lane. It's like holy shit. And it was the same for Team War, right? You had big plays coming out of them. The Queeve was ridiculous. Vortex had some good stuff.
I think the thing is that
even quicker. I think there was 2 very good teams. That was. I think you could say all of them. Like Nasty was ridiculous on S&Ds.
Yeah, both teams. Every single player on both teams had their moments. And I don't think anybody in particular had like terrible maps. Like a couple of bad maps here and there, but nothing too crazy. You didn't feel like anyone was letting any team down, etc. They were just really well matched, and they played each other online and went the same distance. They went all the way. I think it was 3-2, 3-2, but that time it was in the favor of Team War. So they're very, very closely matched. Very closely matched.
Yeah. I was interested. I was just looking for the first time at the actual bracket. Like War, like 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, 3-0. Like they lost one map on their way. I didn't realize boys were like they won 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 3-2.
Yeah.
Like they were tried and tested like through it all, and they kind of came out on top at the end of it. But maybe that's kind of what helped them almost the reps that they got in. But so they beat War the first time they win a final 3-1, then lost 3-2 in the grand final, and then won 3-2.
Yeah,
that's mad.
But the funny thing is, they said to us, like, all the online stuff they've been playing always goes map 5 with them as well. Like, always. Really? Yeah, they knew they were, like, super close. Yeah. They were also very well aware of the veto system. Like, they because obviously they end up scrimming each other a lot, and they knew each other so well. They're like, we know the exact vetoes we're going to have. Which is why when they replayed, it was almost exactly the same maps the first time around.
It was the same maps... the same first 4 maps from the winners bracket final. Right. The only thing that changed was payload S&D, and then the controls changed each one. But other than that, same hard points, and Arsenal S&D was in every single one.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Really can't wait to see how they do against at Champs.
Yeah, and another big important thing, I know a lot of people are talking about the money, but you get a Kraken seed going into Champs, so they will go in. I think Shift had the potential pools up at one point. I'll try and find it.
Well, I know it's something like, if you're the boys, you should be playing E United, and then possibly either Elevate or I'm trying to think who the other one was, E6. Which I'm fairly certain the boys said they wanted Elevate, and then 16th in here, so you get like either Legend, Fuego, Divinely, or Fire Sticks.
Everyone wants to absolutely avoid Fuego in that one, I would say.
I don't know, man. Fuego looked okay, but they need some time together. They need some time together to get that shit sorted. Yeah. It wasn't the most consistent of performances. No. Fucking Maggot running around 3-piecing people with an RK7 was fucking a big mainstay in that team. I'll just say that. But yeah, the boys want to elevate. I know that much. And then they get 16. They could easily come out their group of champs. It's not out of the realms of possibility.
And then for War, they'll get Genji and then the other teams and stuff like that. So yeah, absolutely doable for both these two teams. I mean, I'm presuming it's top 2 out of groups. I can't think of anything else it would be. So, yeah, they've got a good shot either way.
All right, let's go into the main bracket then. Let's talk about the playoffs. And just before we get into that, my God, it's warm in here. What is wrong with you, fan? Do better.
We appreciate the size of Brice's fan, by the way.
I just like how it's on your desk.
It has to be. It has to be on the desk. So behind it, so we can't see. It's behind it. I have a temperature thingy. I don't know if you can see this. So here's. Well, it's sort of a thermometer. It's very weird. If you see that,
Yeah.
it's 28 degrees, and the 26 one's down here. So it's like between 26 and 27 degrees in here at the moment.
That's pretty cool.
Stupid.
I like that, Brice.
Yeah.
What if you turn it upside down? How does that work?
Well, then they all just float the other way, mate.
Kidding.
All right, let's talk about the play-in.
Oh, the play-in.
The play-in. Now, in our what's it called, schedule before, we spoke about last week's Spitfire. We kind of broke down our bracket and how we thought it was going to go. Now, did we get some things wrong? Of course we did. Of course. I think the main thing is the Units LG game. Now,
Well,
we said, if I remember correctly, whoever wins that Units EG game, we think will come all the way through to at least Optic.
yeah.
Turns out they go further than Optic, but
Who
so we got
didn't?
to talk about Units first of all. They did look okay. I'm not gonna lie to you. But against the LG team was frying.
Mm.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking for the bracket
LG
just to
team,
remind
the
myself.
VLG team again. It was just kind of the same. Bracken guys were doing really good, but the one person for me that kind of stepped up was Formal. Slacked and I think John kind of a bit underperformed, like he has quite a lot of the year. Slack was very much doing his job again, not necessarily over a 1.0 or whatever, but Formal was like on Bracken Sky's level, and I think that was that whole. It's playoffs, it's money season, it's whatever you want to call it, and that's where kind of Formal was shining. I saw some incredible stuff from him. Even I think it was like 2v1s on controls. It was, even in this S&Ds, he was dropping big numbers as well. But he had a really good event, Formal.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the teams who didn't make it to begin with. Before we get there, so Elevate didn't have a great time. We knew, to be honest with you, coming into it, we kind of knew Elevate wouldn't do an awful lot.
Well, they got reverse swept, right? They went 2-0 up
Yeah.
against Midnight and then just got swamped.
Yeah. Which is ridiculous because I wasn't sure who would. I didn't think Midnight were going to be the better team like overall, but I thought they would beat Elevate anyway. And I was really surprised to see the 2-0 thing to kick it off.
I mean, I think the biggest one for me was Envy. Like we just, I know people were saying at the event that UIU had improved, but come on, they didn't even take a map off them. Like
The thing at UIU looked. They beat Envy 3-0 and then got destroyed by EG, and it just
exactly. So
how bad Envy were. It's mad. How do you have like Gunless on that tip? He's I don't even know. I have a bet with Jono. Jono said Envy's winning champs.
Yeah. Big X is coming through to win champs. I tell you what will happen. Optic win champs if they don't have to play Envy. If not, Envy are winning. That's my entire prediction.
Well, with the way that Optic played,
if Aches knocks out Optic again, he's winning champs. He will ascend to Aches Optic, and that's just a scary thing. I have no idea. I'm not going that far into the bracket, dude. I'm not even looking. But no, like Envy didn't have a good time. Enigma 6. We expected them to actually win that game against EG, but EG were better this time around.
I actually thought EG would win that.
I just think E6 have changed that team too much, so haven't they?
E6 were a very, very kind of wild cardish team, but I feel like E6 play way better when it's like lower stakes, like Pro League or like whatever. But when it was like, I don't know, they were disappointed. But EG again, they 3-0'd E6, then they 3-0'd UIU.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they look pretty good going forward.
Yeah, they made it look pretty easy.
I think like some of these, like Midnight went exactly as far as I thought they would go. We knew they'd probably win the Elevate game, but we knew they'd lose to either Units or LG.
Yeah.
I think the fact they took a map off LG was, benefit for them. But LG were clearly on a bit of a run there. And we knew once they come against Heretics as well, nobody was impressed with Heretics coming into this. We've had too much
They look
stuff going on.
They look better
Yeah.
than I thought they would, but other than that, I mean,
Well, there's the play-in, right? That's the play-in. EG and LG get through. EG basically beat E6 and UIU to get into it. LG beat Units at Midnight. So let's go into our official full brackety bracket. 9th to 10th, though, EG and Team Heretics. This Heretics team upsets me. It really does. Because every time, they come to an event, they do well, they go away, they mess with things, they don't have the practice, or whatever happens, come back and they look worse. At one point, the worst thing is, this game suits Heretics.
Yeah, it does.
Heretics like to play full throttle, passion, screaming chaos. Like, that is where they excel. If it's fast and it's furious, they're basically Vin Diesel and Paul Walker. Right? Like, it's just great for them. But they keep messing with the formula. Like, I don't
fiddling around, but you could say the same for Optic. Like,
and look how that went.
The whole fit, yeah. It's frustrating to watch. I will say that they kind of got dealt a tough card when they got Splice, but Splice got whopped by Rec, and I was like, I can see Heretics beating Splice, and this with Hugh Temp, some of the best players in the world. Splice kind of, I wouldn't even say stepped up. Heretics just didn't look good in that series either.
No. We knew Heretics wasn't looking good coming into this. We kind of trashed them on last week's Spitfire.
Yeah, we did. Quickly, I don't think, based on quickly looking, that NB and Optic can be in the same group. That's it. I don't think they can.
Okay, that's it. Hasn't Heretics placed top event 8 every event this year? They've done well this year. This is the problem with Heretics, is they do well, and then change shit, and it looks terrible. Yeah.
And then they
every
get
single
better,
time.
and then they change stuff, and then they get better, and then they change stuff. It's just, it's
brief
constant.
period of time, they were great. They changed it. They sucked. They went back, and they were great
They
again.
were good again.
And then they changed it and sucked again. And then they've just kind of like, I wouldn't say sucked, but they've gone downhill. And it's a shame because, again, much like Mindfreak representing Australia, like I've said so many times, it's so nice to have like a good Spanish team.
Yeah.
Like when Heretics were on the main stage, all that Miami crowd, obviously,
the Spanish
cheering
community
for
in
Spanish.
Miami. Yeah,
It was amazing. It was good.
Who doesn't like putting Vamos in the chat or on Twitter? You can see every single cast and battalion. Everyone likes Vamosing. Everyone likes it. That's why it's annoying.
Tunn doesn't. He don't like the Italians and the Spanish. He don't like
That
those
is
guys,
true.
so.
That is true. Tunn is the worst.
it's always true.
Like,
Right, and
yeah.
I'm just gonna put it out here, right? They need to stop tweeting me and you, Bricey, when they want people on. We do not control this. This is why I was getting annoyed at the Italians on Twitter, because I'm getting berated, and it's like I don't
actually have an issue with it. Unfortunately, Ton, I disagree with you. This, I think tweeting me to see your favorite team is absolutely fine. What actually happened?
It was the abuse
is,
that we got
no,
for it.
that's not even it. It's not even that. That's that. It's the Italian caster who tweeted me with an open tweet asking why they weren't on. Which he can just DM me. My DMs are always
what gets
open.
me. It's somebody who's worked before, and it's like,
yeah. And he could have, and instead of having it like a closer, he opened it up.
yeah, just to be
and it
a
wasn't
twat.
polite, and that led to a lot of abuse on mine and Tun's part from Italians. I had people, calling me a racist and threatening to go in my home and stuff, and all sorts of stuff. And it doesn't really bother me because I found it pathetic.
It's just like, come on, man. And
I got called a fat American who should go and eat a cheeseburger.
somebody told me to go eat a dick in Italian.
I got called American. I was just like, oh, well, you clearly have no idea.
Yeah,
I
but like,
honestly...
and then we put them on, they got smoked. So I don't like.
Admittedly, though, that was their qualification game, and that's probably the point they should have been on.
They watched the qualification game and they got bodied.
It doesn't bother me that much. Like, if people want to see their team on, that's fine. Tweet me, but don't just hell abuse. Like, we're trying to cover 128 teams. Plus, this team we had like 20, 30 notable teams in our bracket. And we can only cover 8 at a time, so it doesn't, I don't really care.
It was just
I
the
never
fact
got used to the heretic
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the fact that there was somebody who's worked in the industry before is tweeting us, and it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, you're not
I know
a
Tom
Twitch
was
kid.
there.
I was
like,
very pissed off. I was just like, I was in agreement. I was raging.
It's not the first caster that annoyed me that weekend with the tweets and stuff. That wasn't there, but it's just how it is. Some people need to to stay and to just be more polite on Twitter because we see all this shit. It's not cool. But that's off topic. Let's go back and talk about EG. After they got through the play-in, obviously didn't get much further.
No, played Rec, got 3-0'd. I'm trying to remember that series, and I can't. But I recall it was quite close, but it was a 3-0. I might be completely wrong.
I will have it somewhere in my beautiful little thing here. So the scores was Hardpoint 250 to 203. Hacienda Search was 6-5.
Yeah, I remember,
and I think that's ended up breaking them because the Seaside Control was 3-0.
Right.
But what are you going to do again?
I remember those first two.
Yeah, but what are you going to do in that scenario? We'll cover Rec in a little bit because they had a fantastic tournament. Let's go on to the next one here because this one is the big yikes. Splice and Optic 7th to 8th.
Yeah.
I cannot believe Optic Gaming did not win a map. I mean, I don't even know where to begin.
It's like you can excuse them losing those two games. I can excuse you losing to LGA, and I can absolutely excuse you losing to 100T. But this fact they didn't win a map, it's sort of like, well, I mean, you gotta win a map. Like, you gotta win at least a couple, you would say. I don't know, man. They're tough games. They're very tough games, and this is playoffs, etc. But
Optic BLG should have been closer.
Yeah, 100%.
100 Thieves can 3-0 anybody at any given time, and I know it wasn't their best tournament, but that LG game, like, LG's roster is not so good that Dashy, they shouldn't be getting 3-0'd in the way that they did as well. Plus, they just had this boot camp, which seemed to work fantastically for United, Gen G, and FaZe. Clearly, something went wrong, but that's rough.
We heard a few things, but we're not going to discuss them because we don't want to.
That Luminosity game was a smoking. Like I don't know what happened. You have a big boot camp, you have your role change, and they were feeling good coming into this tournament. Let's not forget that Optic were tweeting out. I think Karma said, with the new roles, we're feeling really good.
Yeah.
And then they got 100 Point Club, their first map of the tournament. Right? Then 6-1. Fortunately, the control was 3-2. But at that point, I was sitting there going, what on earth is going on in that team? This is the same team that won the first event of the year. I mean, don't get me wrong, we've had meta changes and buff changes and all sorts of stuff. Like, what happened? I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, you can get 3-0'd. But I feel like that team shouldn't not win a map at playoffs. Like, with all the preparation and all the role changes and the gas and everything, you had two hard games. LG and 100T are not hard games. But I mean, imagine Tate was backstage wondering if he could just leave the venue. Wondering if he could just start streaming because they're out on the Saturday.
To preface on it, though, I mean, the 100T game, it's like, okay. If somebody told me before the event that Optic would lose 3-0 to 100T at some point, you'd be like, all right, yeah, probably. But, like, you look at LG, and yes, okay, I said you can excuse the game, but...
Well, we knew LG were going to play Optic. We called it, right?
Yeah, we knew it was going to happen.
Units.
But the
LG units.
LG only just squeezed past Heretics 3-2. And it's like, well, if you want to put a barometer of where teams are at in that case. They
just beat Heretics, and then they go on to lose to FaZe, but they 3-0 Optic in the middle of that.
Yeah.
It's just like it shouldn't be that triangle that you kind of compare it to, and I do agree, because I cast the Optic 100 Thieves game, and going into it, I was like, oh, great, I'm sending Optic home again, because 100 Thieves, I felt a way, way stronger. I thought 100 Thieves were going to still win the tournament at that point. But it is unlucky, because you look across the board, who don't you want to, because they could have dropped down to play FaZe. Optic could have played FaZe, and who knows, if they beat FaZe in the lower bracket, they would have then gone on to play Gen G. Probably would have.
I'm not sure they would have beat FaZe, though.
I don't think they would either, but they might have taken it.
On paper, you would say it's an easier game.
But they played FaZe at the boot camp multiple times, and they were saying, I was speaking to Teep backstage, and he was like, the only respawn team that can kind of keep up with us right now is FaZe at the boot camp. That's including E United, Gen G, and FaZe.
First and second.
And it's like, that's not what we saw. But I feel sorry for them a little bit, because they clearly had the boot camp. They clearly played and practiced. They weren't getting shit on at this boot camp.
So this is the interesting thing about boot camps, right? it sucks if you're the most successful team there. And bearing in mind with this, when they, you said these things about, OG looked like the strongest team at the boot camp. The boot camp is technically like fixing mistakes and getting some reps in and making sure, you learn or iron out any tiny wrinkles. You're not going to change anything major in that time. And Optic were doing their roles. Maybe it was just the fact they hadn't been pushed. Like maybe it just didn't feel like a tournament environment. We all know it's very different at the boot camp. It's very relaxed at the boot camp compared to how it is on that main stage when everybody's, teed up to the max and the adrenaline's pumping and you're walking out ready to just do the business. Ain't nobody at the boot camp, walking into that like the same way you walk on a main stage. So I don't know if it was the same tournament environment. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's difficult to compare, isn't it? Like scrims to normal tournament, etc. But yeah, it's one of them that is very, very difficult to take if you're an Optic fan. It's hard for us to really like sort of say, well, where do we put them for champs? Like, what happened to this team? I know like Vegas is like first event of the year. There's probably a few more factors based in first event of the year than this event. You would say like most teams should be on a bit more of an even playing field by now. Vegas was more about who's figured out the game quicker, who's there with their shots, etc., etc. Whereas like you would still expect them to be up there though with the talent they got on that team. They have been. That's a thing as well. They have been. Like, what, 2/3 this year? I don't know.
Let's talk about the other team then, who came here. Splice. Now, we were talking about Splice, and I don't know, to be honest with you, looking back on the last week, obviously this is also hindsight, but we spoke about Splice as Splice's potential rather than their actual, and that's where we maybe tripped up. We were convinced that Splice, with some practice, and this team should look great.
I mean, we spoke to Mark and he said that scrims went great.
Everyone says that though.
Everyone's scrims go well.
That's true.
It's, yeah. And that's not to throw our good pal Marky under the bus, but at the same time,
it's weird that Splice roster. Like you expect so much, but then again, when was like individuals are really, really good, but it's like that. When that roster was formed with Temp and Hugh, everyone got really, really excited. But Hugh hasn't won anything recently. Temp hasn't he's not won anything recently. It's one of those things that it should work on paper. But I think with Splice, the thing for me as well is when you look at all the really, really successful teams like 100 Thieves or whoever you want to pick, they've got like that slasher on the team, or they've got that, I don't know, Octane or Clayster or like I look at the Splice roster and something's missing, and it's not to kind of take a dig at Aqua or Looney, because I think Looney's incredible when he plays well, but it just doesn't seem to be working. Like remember Looney on Rise, and it was night and day.
Hot take on myself.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Splice. I mean, I heard they've got a roster change. Fucking hell. What is the word? Role change. They're role changing again. I don't know if it's true. I didn't see anything confirmed about it, but somebody said that Jerd's going back on a grapple.
What, he will be, or he has done?
Or I believe he is now going back on a grapple.
I think that's great. I think that's great.
Yeah, I'm surprised they took it away from him, to be perfectly honest with you. While he can do work with the Tempest, we all know Jerd likes to play at 1 billion miles an hour, and the grapple.
But Jerd is more the grapple than the slam. I feel like speed, and he's played that role the whole of this game. So for him, it's kind of like me, like in league play, like I grab grapple instantly because I'm a hard points or whatever. Like I just want to have the grapple. If that's suddenly taken away and you're like, this is different moving around like this, like it feels like a different game. But I feel like it was who's better, Hugh or Jerd? Hugh, okay, Hugh gets grapple, and I feel like that was, and I'm sure Jerd was like, cool, I'll run Tempest, I can get some kills or some extra damage or whatever. But I actually think it's more than just the specialists, to be honest with that team. And I don't know how to play. I thought, I was like, when I saw Temp at the start of this year, I was like, this guy is winning a chip, maybe multiple, and it's just not come about.
No.
All right. I'll get there in the end. Am I the only person that has not been impressed with Hook this year? Like, at any point, really. Yeah, okay, he has his odd game here and there, but I have not been that impressed by him.
I think when Envy were on in the league, he was like
Best player on Envy. Yeah, oh fuck.
Twos. Like he can slay, and when you watch him, it's very like it's a flair kind of like style. It's very impressive to watch. But I do get what you mean. Like, how good can he be? But I don't think Hugh's gone to like Vegas or Anaheim or Fort Worth and dropped like a 0.7. So, you know.
No, he's not had any bad events, but. I don't know.
That's what I mean. Like he's
even pros talk him up as being one of the best players on the game, but I have not seen even remotely any sort of performance that puts him in that bracket for me. I mean, albeit I'm watching Open the whole time, but at the same time, it's
in the same sense, kind of like Dashy started so hot with the Tempest at Vegas, and
he has slowed down.
For the last two events, Dashy has been very much like he's had that world star game, and then it's just been. I mean. Optic 100 Thieves, I don't even remember anything he did. But,
no,
like you said, it's not
he
one
has fallen off. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know if it's a case of...
The weapons change.
Yeah. I just don't know if it's a case of maybe...
Look at the Swords now.
Well, yeah, exactly.
The team doesn't look
the
good.
Sorg's up and he hasn't... I don't know.
But that's the thing with Hugh. He should be on the level of Sim, Dylan,
and he isn't.
Havoc.
That's my point.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Like, I don't know why. The team just doesn't feel like it clicks properly. But... I don't know whether that's just expecting more out of this team because of who's in it and how much everybody's gassed up these players individually this year. I don't know. Like, for me, I'm sitting here and going into like next champs and stuff. I just can't believe they're going to improve that much in 3 weeks. But at the same time, you know, if they find a rhythm that works, which is harder than it's going to be. I don't know, man. Like, how does this team fix it now? This is their second kind of time where they've had some reps. The other issue is it's not like the rest of the competition is easy.
Yeah,
there is such strength in depth in the league right now that we could have any one of 8 teams in those finals. Easy.
Well, this should be a dominant respawn team at least. Like, even if they weren't going to surge, like you've got Hugh, Temp, like these are players that can individually carry a team through, and now they've got multiple of those on that roster, and I feel like it should be even like a dominant hardpoint team. And the worst thing about it all, like Looney, I think is one of the most underrated players and has been for a long time. Like, he's always been the player to kind of drag teams up, and now it's like, I don't know, like how is this not happening? Especially when you saw him with the likes of Nolson and I even forgot who was before Accuracy, and then you get Hugh. It was like everyone was questioning, like, is MB actually like that stupid to get rid of Hugh? And now it's kind of like, oh, it's not really working for him.
I don't know. I just
3 weeks.
The more
is
I
a long
think,
time. If they put time in it, they're scrimming every single day.
But here's the question, Phil: do you genuinely believe, from everything we've seen, Splice could win champs?
From what we've seen so far, no.
Unless we see a miracle, which we like, no.
Right, I mean, now, my answer is no.
On paper, they have the potential, but
I don't even think
it's on.
I don't even think it's on paper anymore. I honestly don't. No. Like, for it to be on paper, it has to be consistency over previous results.
Yeah.
What you've got in Splice is some superstar performances occasionally. You remember the last time, like, we really gassed up? Maybe they have a good series of the Pro League, or, you know, maybe an event or so, but it hasn't looked good for a while. Like, it hasn't.
Yeah.
Like, I for me, you know, maybe top 8's now where they're going to sit. Maybe push top 6.
Do you
top
think
4th is another good position for them, but I don't know.
Hold on. So against Genji,
randoms. I'm not forgetting they got 3rd and 2nd, but this team has changed and actually has looked worse.
Yeah, it has. You know, you put them against Genji now in respawns, and you're playing against players like, and again, no disrespect, but Nagafen. You know, who Nagafen versus Temp, like, who's the better player? But you like
9 times out of 10 you'd say Temp. No?
Yeah, you favor Genji in that matchup because their respawn is so on point. FaZe again, you know, it's like you put Temp or Hugh against anyone one-on-one, like in a poll, like who's better. But like FaZe respawn, Splice's respawn should be like FaZe's.
Do you not think it's their ARs? The fact that a lot of people touched on it, there's a lot of SMGs there, and it was a talk about do they have a strong enough AR presence of actual AR players? Because we know Looney is having to go into that role, but yeah, okay. A lot of people use the Maddox, but Aqua's always been good with the ICR. You look at the maps we lost to Gen G, Arsenal and Gridlock. Arsenal, a little bit closer, because, yeah, okay, it can be an AR map to a point, but Gridlock, pretty heavy AR map for the most part, you would say. And they got smoked. I mean, this is me theorizing after 2 maps here, but
it's not even that. I just more feel like Splice.
But even they got smoked on Seaside against Rex. So
I feel like it's almost more discombobulated. Like they just don't get the momentum up half the time. And like sometimes they just end up losing their trades, going into rotations and stuff. And you're like, that's so expected. I expected that to happen.
I think with Splice as well, they're so easily broken sometimes. Like, against Rec and like, let's say Dylan, for example, or you can pick any player, or just suddenly break in. It's like, that shouldn't have happened. How has Splice let it? And it's always like, Splice shouldn't have let that happen, or Splice should have been... And it seems like your standard setup, which most teams have locked down, isn't there. And again, I don't know whether that's miscommunication, whether that's because Hugh's new on the roster, whether Hugh can temper playing that kind of Slayer role. Like Temp, like you kind of put him in the category of Dashy. Like in a few events ago, like Temp was dropping stupid numbers, and now we saw him with the Maddox and how good he can be with that Maddox, but we're not seeing that. And again, yes, competition is tough, but it's like what does Splice do to suddenly turn around?
Well, someone in the chat just said, we need Marky B on a thing. But we've spoken to Marky B, and he said they look good going into every tournament. So I don't know how much you can take away from what Marky
I mean,
says.
to be fair,
I've never spoken to Marky, and he says they don't look good. So.
I know, but he's never going to turn around and say, "Oh, I look like shit." Like, I mean,
yeah, but I'd like to think that he would tell us and say, "I've actually been struggling a little bit on, a couple maps." But I won't tell you. Because
maybe not like in public anyway.
Yeah, but we've spoken to him not in public, and he's been like,
sure.
"We look really good." We've been taking maps 50-50, or we've been, beating players, blah blah blah, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the only time I got to speak to Marky this weekend was at the gym, and then he went and vomited afterwards. So, so that kind of sums up Marky's weekend. Let's move on then from Splice and Optic, because we've talked about them for length. 56 Luminosity and 100 Thieves.
Not a bad result for Luminosity, that. I don't think.
No, that's kind of like a skyrocket. But here's the thing. We knew the winner of the LG Units game was going heavily into the play-in bracket to at least Optic. Like, we knew they were going to beat Heretics. We knew they'd beat Midnight. We knew they were going to play in. I think we'd pick Units instead, mainly because Reece Price is the greatest salesman in the world.
I think it's like, I mean, I know they got beat relatively. Well, I want to say convincingly. I think the maps were maybe close-ish, but like, I think,
LG looked good.
Yeah,
LG looked good.
We said the same thing. Is like whoever won it was probably going to go relatively far. I know the YouTube comments weren't too impressed. But at the same time, it was just like, well, we knew that was going to be whoever won that would go relatively far. So we were right, but maybe we just didn't pick the right team initially.
So this Luminosity team, it's I got to say that it is good to see players like Formal gunning again.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue for me of LG is not that I don't think they're a good team. It's just that it is a good team, but it's going in to fight all these other fantastic teams.
Yeah, it's like, good, but it's not like great.
It's not going to blow my trousers off at any point, but they will do work against a good amount of teams. Like, going into champs, right? I wouldn't count Luminosity out in almost any game they go into.
I can still.
But I wouldn't say that I think Luminosity are going to win Worlds. I think LG look like a team that has finally, after so long of shit, figured it out. Like, okay, now we're actually a team that can do something. I think that's probably like this tournament, if anything, is a massive relief for these players. Like a massive relief. Just don't get me wrong. They still have stuff to work on, but think back a couple of months ago when LG was basically just horrifically bad.
Slack's played so much better, by the way.
Yeah.
So much better. I don't know if John is. I didn't see much of it.
No, John had another bad event.
Yeah, right. Can we just preface that again? John's been shit all year. Like, all year. Like
what's a year? What is a year, by the way?
Season. Sorry.
Do you mean year?
Yeah. Fuck.
Wow. I mean, Phil's just sitting there getting his use code Momo in.
I'm
And
not saying anything.
Tun's trying to hit Reddit clips.
Well, nobody
just trying
has though. I saw
I'm
even a
just
Reddit
trying to-
clip.
I'm trying to get my Bahama Mama on the go. I can't find the scooper.
Brilliant.
For what we expect from John over past years, he hasn't had a good season. Black Ops 4 has not been kind to him.
Scoop this.
No, I can agree. I mean, I wouldn't go far to say that I think he's been shit.
Okay, well, he's not shit.
he's
I
He's
don't
not a
think
bad player,
I don't think he's lived
he's
up
not being
to
John.
maybe expectations, and LG certainly hasn't. You know, you could say that this is probably one of the worst years LG has had after that W. So I don't know why. LG must have been doing their nutting, right? Because this team went from winning a chip to being a laughingstock, and now at least they've come back to like the upper echelons of the mid-table. My biggest issue with the LG team is the same issue that I had with Splice, is that while I can see them doing well and putting up consistent performances, do they have what we think it takes to push against the elite teams we have right now, to push against the best teams in the CWL?
LG.
I think they could give them a good game. Yeah, I think LG could give anyone a good game.
Yeah.
But I don't see them consistently beating the top teams.
I actually think I saw good stuff from LG in the sense of like Brax, Skies. I think Formal was great. And even if John plays the role of enabler, or John plays the role of, someone who doesn't have to drop a 1.0 or whatever, 3 weeks I think is a long time. And I think I saw enough in the past, let's say month and a half from LG, where depending on their bracket, I think they can go pretty far at champs. But I do think if they run into certain teams, they lose. And it's like LG at playoffs, they lost to FaZe and Rec. Do I think LG can beat Rec? Yes. Do I think LG can beat FaZe? Yes. But I don't think they can beat certain... I think 100 Thieves will kind of run over them. I think even with FaZe and Rec games, they pushed them, they won maps, but they had to be on their day, if that makes sense. Like FaZe Friday, Saturday was the FaZe you want to see on Sunday, but FaZe just came out flat on Sunday.
Yeah.
Just what kind of day?
But that's the thing. I think LG could beat any of those teams, Phil.
I do.
But I don't think they could beat all of them.
I think on the day, LG can beat anyone but 100 Thieves, I think. I still think 100 Thieves are the best. I think they had a very off tournament. But I do think LG are up there where, like last year, EG won champs or whatever. If LG kind of avoid a couple of teams in the bracket, they can be in winners finals. They can do good stuff. And I can't say the same for Optic. I can't say the same for Splice. I can't say the same for your EG or I don't know.
You feel like it's maybe just like a click away from being a championship winning team.
I think much
that's
like
I slightly disagree here.
Okay.
I don't know. I disagree. I feel that what you said about Luminosity has merit, and I think they can be a great team. I just don't see them consistently doing it against the best teams.
You just think like top four's their ceiling at the point?
Well, I just think you go, oh wow, LG are playing lights out. They're playing lights out, and then one of the big boys beats them. Like that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Same.
You say winners bracket final? I think winners bracket final could be their ceiling. They may make it at that point, but
winners bracket finals top 3.
Yeah, top 3. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It could very well happen. But bearing in mind that they then have to go against the likes of EU United, Genji, Thieves. Obviously, we spoke about who we're going to move on to in just a second, because that was insane. Them not coming 6th after going back to back. We thought they were going to do well. I don't know. Luminosity has not showed me enough to convince me that a championship is just down the road.
I agreed on that one. I don't want it to be misinterpreted. I think they can go far in the tournament, unlike teams maybe like Splice or Optic. But do I see them winning champs? No. But I do see them potentially. They could get top 4. But don't get me wrong, LG, in a couple of weeks' time, get 8th at champs. I'm not surprised at all. I think these next 3 weeks are huge for LG, and they need to make the most of it.
I think it's because you look at their team, you look at the names on their team, you go, oh, well, shit. Like, if they somehow all click it once, then they're up there 100%. But I know what you mean. It's like they can have off days very easily. I think there's similar teams you put them in the bracket to, but yeah, they have a big range. I think of
kind of like how we
placements
spoke about Splice and Temp, Huke, and let's say Jerd. If you look at LG, I think the whole Brack and Skies for me are incredible pickups. But Brack, Skies, and Formal, like if two of them play well, they're doing all right. But if three of them play well, and the other two are doing their thing, then they can beat teams. And I just wouldn't be surprised to see these guys do the same to Optic and 3-0 them. It'll be an interesting one. I think LG's definitely one to watch. I think they might be like a dark horse for me of the tournament.
Potentially.
I mean, Maven Adam winning this.
Yeah, but then that's Maven, and I don't know. Here's the thing. I think that mid-table right now is like, say from like 4th or 3rd down to 8th is crazy competitive. Because you could take these teams, right? Take Rec, Luminosity, Thieves, Optic, and Splice. And if you just put them into a bag, shook them up, and pulled the names out, that could genuinely be how the tournament goes. Like in any order, in absolutely any order, from 4th to 8th, it could genuinely happen.
That's the competition, though.
That's good.
And I kind of love it in a weird way. Like, I love the fact that the games, that's why we're getting some of the best COD that we've seen in years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's out of the question of any of those top 8 teams winning champs or not?
Say that again, sorry?
Is it out of the question, any of the top 8 teams from playoffs winning champs?
I think any of them. I don't see Splice winning. I don't see Rec winning.
I think Rec are great, but I don't think they're going to win.
I don't see Optic winning.
Not at the moment, not with the current situation. I don't see LG winning.
No, I don't see LG winning either. It's 100 Thieves, FaZe, EU,
Gen G and United. I mean, Gen G is the everyone thinks they're just going to be Silver Surfers until the day they die. But I don't know.
I know it's annoying not to win, but you are cashing out as a Silver Surfer this year.
It's like Red last year. They're like Red last year at this point.
It's ironic. I think you get more for second here. You get 300k, I think. But at champs, second is 260 and first is 800.
Big jump.
If they get second again, it sucks. $260,000 would suck for them. I know you guys in the chat's gonna be like, that doesn't suck. But imagine playing that game. What's the difference there? 540,000 is on the line in the grand final. That is mad.
Yeah,
and you can.
It's crazy. Let's talk about Thieves. We haven't spoken at all about Thieves.
Imagine. Go on then, Thieves.
Let's talk about Thieves.
It's difficult because I didn't see their games, but
I cast a couple 100 Thieves games.
What we're saying, Phil?
What do you think, Phil? What do you think, Phil?
And again, when they went to the lower bracket, I was like, they can still win this.
Well, that's what everyone thought. Like losing to FaZe, they played them the week before though, and they just looked. 100T looked flat, and FaZe looked great. I think if FaZe had played how they did on Friday, Saturday, on Sunday, they very likely could have won it.
I agree.
They just didn't.
Like FaZe tweeted it. All the players were tweeting it. Like we came flat Sunday. We weren't communicating Sunday. When they 3-0'd 100 Thieves, yes, it was kind of close on some of the games, but it was also, when like you in a search 6-4 or whatever, it's kind of close, but they never looked like they were going to lose. In the control, it was like, okay, they're winning. Okay, they're still winning. They're looking good, and they've won. And it's like it looked like they were pretty convincingly taking down 100 Thieves. Then they 3-1 LG, and we were like, hang on a second, and I tweeted, I think Scraps and Zero, I was like, this is your time to win. If you guys play like that, you've knocked 100 Thieves out, you've knocked LG out, who've just 3-0'd Optic, but they came out Sunday flat. And I think when 100 Thieves lost to them, I was in my head thinking, that's just an off series for 100 Thieves. FaZe have got the better of them. They're going to go through the loser bracket, get momentum, they'll be fine. But then they ran into Gen G. And honestly, 100 Thieves, I feel, again, Gen G had a very good series against 100 Thieves, and that's why I look at 100 Thieves as the best team. I still think that...
Close game, though. They were definitely better as time went on through the weekend, though. I think,
because obviously, like, Thieves made it all the way to play that Gen G team, so that made a decent way through the bracket anyway, right? And looking and breaking that down, it was they lost the both searches, and won the control. Like, hardpoint for 100 Thieves was still very, very good. Yeah. They just generally happened to be the better S&D team, and obviously the control was the difference.
Yeah.
That control. I mean, the control was 3-1, but we know. Go on.
I was going to say it before we kind of go into too far in 100 Thieves. You know, the first game, they lost to FaZe, whatever. They dropped down. They had to play EG.
Yeah.
They nearly lost that.
Yeah,
that was the biggest shock for me. I was like, whoa. But when they got through it, then 3-0'd Optic, I was like, they're okay. I just wanted to not jump too far down to Gen G. But when they nearly lost to EG, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was one of those. It's like straight away after losing like that to FaZe, then you go in against a team you were expecting to beat, maybe coming in a bit flat again.
And let's not forget EG, the way they got there was like 3-0, 3-0 into 100 Thieves, and they were game 5, and I was like, oh, it's an S&D. Sweet. Let's see how this goes. But
interesting hot take from Tactical Rab, because I haven't seen a statement come out from the team of 100 Thieves yet, unless one has, and I haven't seen it. Talking about the Sorg buff, because that was the big difference, right, coming into this event. We haven't really discussed it. The Sorg buff. It is now a hit scan Sorg. And here's the reason I haven't discussed it, is I haven't seen that big of a difference in terms of like Sorg players now, gunning everything, because some of the Sorg teams who have good Sorg players didn't perform this weekend, and some who did. So it was kind of like, well, if it's the Sorg thing, then surely the better Sorg teams are now rocking forward. But some of them didn't. Like we spoke about Splice, we expect them to be a hot take Sorg duo going forward, and that didn't happen. So I don't know what happened with Thieves, and I haven't seen a statement from them. But bearing in mind, coming into this, everybody expected Thieves to win this tournament. We didn't think Thieves had any weakness. And I'm very curious as to what happened in the run-up to this. Did they not get enough practice? What went wrong? Did they change their vetoes up? Like, what on earth happened to come top 6? Now, don't get me wrong. I fully believe that Thieves will bounce back from this once they figure out what on earth happened. But to come from a team we didn't think had any weaknesses, to come into this situation and come top 6 is crazy for me.
I don't think
also bearing in mind that we do think that the bracket is stacked at the moment. We do believe this is one of the most competitive time ever.
Mm-hmm. They didn't lose to a bad team, I don't think.
I kind of get where he's coming from, Rab, in the sense of the Sorgs, because it's very easy to look at Gen G and go, have a convoy. You look at United and you think Simp and Abizi, and even Prestige when he's kind of going. You look at FaZe and they've got even the likes down to whoever's using it, Asim,
and Zuma,
and but I think it does favor, and it has obviously helped the both reciprocity. Dylan, I mean, it's just like
let's just make them better.
it is that sense, and I do, but Scump on day one, even though they didn't win a map, like Scump was playing great, and I think one thing I will say is, I think the boot camp bar Optic, it did help everyone. 100 Thieves weren't invited to that. They said they wouldn't have gone anyway because they were the best team. You don't want to teach teams. So I think the boot camp did help everyone bar Optic. But it's interesting. I kind of agree in the sense that if 100 Thieves, the way they're going to lose is if they get battered by Envoy and Havoc, or like they did against FaZe. I think FaZe, all 5 of them just played really, really well.
Zero had a good event.
Do you know what makes me laugh?
It's a good take, though.
We say this shit every year. I'm actually fed up of saying it because it's honestly like the fact that some teams don't build around this simple fact is that Call of Duty gets faster every year towards the end of the game. Every single year, without fail, the game gets faster and faster, and we always end up talking about the best SMG players or the best fast players or the best speed. It's speed kills, and never has that been more apparent than in Call of Duty towards the end of the year. It's every year. It's every year we have the same conversation.
Just stack your team full of fast players at the beginning of the year.
Stack your team through young lunatics, and you'll get better during the year. You won't win the first event, but as the year goes on, you need those players who are playing so fast and can deal with absolute chaos and pressure, because that is the biggest thing for it. Just irritates me. We talk about this every year and it never happened. Let's move on to Team Reciprocity. They came fourth.
Very good event for them. Again, just came out flat though, I think.
Wreck, did you say?
In the last game. Yep.
Yeah, we're talking Wreck. Dylan obviously was a glitch.
Yeah.
5 feet of Irish steel and sex appeal. That guy looked great.
I mean, that series against we were watching that. I was watching the frequency hard point. Just there, I was standing with like Zero and Shane and all that, and like I was saying to Shane, I was like, well, frequency, you boys will be alright, and then I remember speaking to Zero, and he was like, nah, LG are really good at this, and then you seen him pulling the head, and it was just like Dylan just went, and it was just like, well, this is fucking game over. Like, I've never ever in a very long time seen a player single-handedly do that to a team like that.
I genuinely don't think I know this is a bold statement in the however long we've been in COD. I don't think I've ever seen a player go off or flick a switch, whatever you want to say, like Dylan did to go 25-2 in a game. I don't think I've ever seen that, because he was negative at the time. It was, and I'm still waiting.
2 grabs and 3 hills.
I want to see his point of view from start to finish on that 25-2, because we saw a little bit of it or a lot of it, but not all of it. It was disgusting. I think in the meantime, when he got 25 kills, like you saw Alex on the scoreboard, he got like 6 kills, 6 deaths. It's the sheer interactions that he had. Like he had 27. I think JP tweeted out like he was getting a kill every 10 seconds for the last 250 seconds or whatever it was. It was disgusting.
Someone made a comment that's like Karma on Yemen back in Black Ops 2. I classed that game. You're actually wrong, because they first of all, different scenario. They were against Enigma at the time, who weren't amazing. And second of all, that was like during the game. This wasn't when they were down in a massive regard.
Playing for the nuke. He was almost like playing for the
it was easy. That was easy. This was a very competitive game where Dylan just went berserk. Like at that level of competition, a player should never be able to pull it back in that regard. Almost single-handed. Don't get me wrong. The rest of Reciprocity were obviously there and doing the work and baiting and all that sort of stuff for him. But like, Jesus, Dylan. Here's my issue though. Here's the opposite. Whatever the opposite of a silver lining is, poo sandwich. Here's the poo sandwich. You can't rely on Dylan to do that all the time.
That's the thing. That's the problem.
You cannot rely on Dylan to do that all the time.
I will say Alex had a very good event, and when they initially picked him up, I was like, all right.
And that's where I think they struggle.
Then,
Dylan's amazing.
Yeah, but when he doesn't play top level
Envoy
Dylan
and Havoc, they lose. If they're going up against Simp and Abizi, they like. You need another copy paste Dylan. You need another one.
Yeah. I think the team he's on is good enough for him. I think my issue is with Rec is they have a great combination of players that can do this, but I don't think they can do it consistently enough. In that, don't get me wrong, like, we've seen like Zedenia's had a great year. Waskin has, they've got Dens running their AR at the moment. My issue being is that while this, fourth is great for Reciprocity, and we said this because Dylan seemed very upset on Twitter afterwards. He was like, I had a shit Sunday, all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, Dylan, first of all, you like single-handedly did it against LG to put yourself in this position. But we've spoke about that before. Like, he has the top-rated card, I think I saw Lyman tweet out the other day. He's like 96 or something because he just went berserk. But do you think that Reciprocity will continue this? Do you think Dylan is going to be that good all the time against the best teams?
He can't be. That's a problem. But
and we said this about Rec before, right? When they had that run of 11 best of map 5s or whatever it is.
Yeah. Because realistically, Rec, they 3-0 EG, they get 3-0'd by United, they then 3-0 Splice, and they should have lost to LG. They should have lost 3-1 in the sense that they should have lost that hard point. And that would have been the end of their tournament. But they get one step further. Obviously, it's an amazing thing. They lose to Gen G, but they lose to Gen G and E United again. The E United series was pretty one-sided. And it was the fact that Dylan didn't go off. Because it's not like Dylan goes off one, then Zed goes off another, then Alex goes off the other one. Like, Reciprocity, I think they can be really good at search and destroy, like when Muskin's hitting snipes and stuff like that, but again, I think when they get to what we would say is those elite teams, they're out of the league. Like, they're right below that, I feel. But I don't class them as like a top 4 team, Rec. I see them as like a top 6. If they got top 8 at champs, like I wouldn't be surprised. If Dylan just doesn't have a good day, that they will struggle.
Well, I was going to bring this up, right? Because I didn't get to see a ton of Rec games. I haven't heard a lot about Waskin so far. Nobody ever brings the conversation up on this team about Waskins. I always hear, first of all, Dylan, obviously. Then we talk about Zed. Alex gets mentioned because he's new and obviously he's playing fairly well. Then Dens gets
is
talked about.
consistent.
And then but I never hear about how Wuskins does. And I actually have to go back and look at the bloody stats to figure it out. And I don't know whether that's just because he's settled and he's just doing his job.
I think so. Wuskin shines for me in the S&Ds. But again, I think it's very hard when you have a teammate like Dylan. Like, everyone's looking at that one person, and there's a reason for that. Because if let's say E United or Genji, like say Envoy or Simp have a bad map, someone has to pick up those kills, and they do. A BZ, I don't know, Morks for example, like he'll have a good game, and it's rare that Wuskins is that person or Dens is that person. They can still win games, but I think someone just pointed out, actually, Jake in the chat, Rec were like tied with E United the whole way, and our cities was 1-11. They were like playing 4v5 and it was tied. As soon as our city started picking up kills, it was on gridlock, and it was like, okay, now it's 5v5 and they're losing.
Yeah, I think Rab was referencing the not too sure about the map picks. Gridlock against United, I don't know.
Clay actually said to me, he was like, Momo, I have played Reciprocity 17 times. I've played Wuskins and this Z combo 17 times, whether they were Unilad or Rec or whoever they were, and I've lost once, and it was at the very start of this pro league.
Do you think it's that a mental thing, potentially?
And they were just like, we are not losing to them. And they were genuinely playing like RCs hadn't spawned in for the first 4 minutes, and it was like 100-100, and then RCs picked up kills, and they got outclassed. But again, that's an elite team. That's what I think. When Reciprocity face the elite teams, they struggle. And it's not talking negatively of Rec, because you've got to have, like in sports, you're going to have the top six, if you like. Like when you play them, you're out of your league sometimes. And I think if Rec were to get another top 4 at champs, that'd be a huge win for them. I know they won first, and I know that kind of sucks to hear, but if they get top 4 at champs, I think that's massive for
it's a great result for them at champs. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think that is their ceiling, isn't it? It's like good event, top 4. But I don't. I mean,
Dylan would have to push it for them to go further. Dylan would actually have to be consistently that brilliant.
I think for them to go further, Zed needs to be like, it can't be Dylan. Dylan can't do any more. It has to be Alex has to have a game, or the other 4, one of them or 2 of them have to be like just behind Dylan or with him. But yeah,
it's insane. Let's move on to FaZe then. This FaZe clan came third this time around, and if I remember our previous comments on them, I remember saying that this FaZe clan, we spoke a lot about their potential, and they've never really showed it.
Sorry, I was laughing at the Newcastle Anfield reference. That's amazing. Shout out to Tunny and randoms. Yeah, I think
they've never showed it till now. I don't think so. I spoke before about FaZe clan.
We've seen glimpses.
Never really showing their full potential at an event, because we were hyping them up, right? Because they've got like a good amount of talent in this team, right? They brought in Asim and Selim to basically be those young guns, you know, because they thought they had a lot of slaying power. We talk about Scraps and Zero, and then you've got, you know, the veteran of Zuma in there as well. A great combination of players. And I said before that tournament, I'd never really seen this, what was supposed to be a dynamite respawn team, absolutely slaughtering people and going far in the tournament. This was a tournament where I genuinely believed FaZe Clan could go on and win it.
They were my pick on Sunday when we were sort of discussing it. Everyone was like, who do you think winning? And I was like, well, if FaZe play how they did Friday, Saturday, I thought they were going to win. I thought they were going to win. I know it would be tough, but I thought they were going to do it.
I think if they were to play like they did Friday, Saturday, they would have won. And I remember I was walking around, I think it was near the Astro booth, and people were saying like, except 100 Thieves, like, who do you think could win? Because I was always picking 100 Thieves. And it was that kind of same question, and I don't want to, this is not to me saying I was right, because I wish I was wrong, but I was thinking, I kind of said, I think FaZe don't play the same they did on Friday, Saturday as they do tomorrow. I was talking about it, because they were playing so well, and they beat 100 Thieves. I was like, they can't keep playing like this. They were just all on that same page, and it doesn't always work like that. And who did they have?
Go on, sorry.
When it went, it was FaZe United. People were like, who do you reckon's going to win? Who do you reckon's going to win? I was like, judging who's the best team so far, FaZe looked really, really good. But I was like, I think United are going to beat them in that winner bracket final. And
So
then I
close,
was
by the
almost
way.
telling myself, I was
Jesus.
like, when FaZe lose, FaZe are going to lose again. And I think that's exactly what happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
they got
3 points
they
on the
lost
hard
and
point. Round 11 on Arsenal. Won
Oh,
the
against-
Seaside
yeah.
3-2. And then they got smoked.
And they could have won it. That's the thing. Like, they did play well.
They could have won that 3-0. Like, that's
Yeah,
the
they
thing.
could have.
Yeah.
That
It's
map
literally
4, they got stomped, but
it's a little bit of scrap, one round of S&D.
I actually think they would have won the tournament. I think that whoever would have come back into the grand final, I think they would have beat them. And I think they would have done it in the first series, but
As close as you're likely to get, to be fair, that one, apart from the fourth map, of course. But yeah, it's one of those that you lose like that as well. Then you got to go on and play a Gen G, and it's like, well, Gen G are a really difficult team to play against, and they got ran over.
FaZe
Well,
S&D
maybe not
looked
ran
better.
over.
Looked way better.
Yeah,
Because
the
that was their
S&D looked better.
downfall. I actually think by champs, maybe their S&D is even better than it is, and they're a dominant respawn and search and destroy team. I speak a lot to the FaZe analyst and the way that he's kind of working it, because he helps me with my stats and stuff, but he's kind of really helped them develop with their new coach, and I think FaZe are in that same category for me where they could win champs and kind of shock everyone. I would love that. That'd be insane.
They could. They look a bit more like the team now that we sort of like have seen glimpses of, but more consistently. If they can continue, like, I think 100 Thieves are their kryptonite, so to speak.
Yeah, I think
apart from on Friday.
I mean, the thing is, like, when you go back and look at that FaZe United game, like, how easily that could have been a 3-0 for FaZe.
Very
Unbelievable. Right,
saying,
we'll ignore the fourth half point.
Yeah, it's a 5 seconds of scrap time.
Yeah,
it's a round of
one
S&D.
round. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
I
the
don't
control,
know, like,
the control came down to a 1v1 at some point.
It was round 5.
Yeah,
that was
it
honestly the closest game I've ever casted. It was round 5. It was a 2v1, and it was a simple trade.
Was it round 5?
Yeah, Seaside Control. It was like 2-2, all tied up. It was Church, whoever's on the offense, and it was a 2v2. And one of the E United boys got the kill first, and it was just a simple E United get a kill.
Yeah, it was the same, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was just.
That's a fair point from Ticklefairy. I forgot about Simps 1v3. That cannot happen.
That pistol.
That cannot happen.
Zuma was so mad. Zuma was actually the second person to die, but he was saying after it, that 1v3 was like, where is he? Where is he? No one was talking to him.
But that's experience. Like, there has been parts. You cannot doubt Cell and Asim's talent, but they do not have the experience. And comms at that level, in that intensity, in those moments, have to be up there. Do they have that yet? Possibly not. So I think that is their point of where. I mean, I can't remember exactly who was left there, to be fair, but like, honestly, their comms is what's come up as an issue before.
It's just taking your foot off the gas when I mean, he was at that Jet statue on Arsenal, and you've literally got him pinched. One's behind the bomb, one's coming through lobby. It's like, oh, this is an easy kill.
Like, even with a normal gun, that shouldn't really.
They knew he had. It was almost like, we don't even need to come. We've got him. Oh, 2v1, 1v1. Oh shit, he's just killed me with a pistol, and it's like, come on.
The toughie.
Yeah,
but it's like they are that close to winning.
I think they're all to blame, Fairy.
Yeah. Here's the positives for it. FaZe, like I said before, this is the first time I've really thought this is the FaZe team we thought when this team formed. This is what I expected when this FaZe team formed. And coming third, while they could have gone further, for me feels like a stepping stone, and I cannot wait to see them at champs.
Yeah,
a little bit of tightening up in a few areas, just a little few tweaks. Play like you did. You guys are definitely up there in terms of like, oh shit, you're gonna do some damage.
Yeah, they all had their moments, I think.
Yeah. Let's talk about
on the phasing. I actually think, you said it was the phase that we expected. The phase we saw Friday, Saturday was kind of a better phase than I ever expected. When I looked at their roster, like Zuma and Asim and Cell, and
I think Zuma and Asim were question marks.
They were good. They could be like a top 5, top 16, but judging by the start of the year, I actually thought they would. I never thought I'd be thinking this phase roster can win. Is my point. I didn't think.
See, I always disagreed. I always thought, they basically built it for this time in the game. I thought that this team suits the current meta because it is just pure ability to just smash trades, put the pressure on, and their weakness was always the S&D. It was always the S&D.
Yeah.
Now that they've seemed to have fixed some of it, this team has an incredibly high skill ceiling. But let's take this opportunity to move on to Gen G, who have looked great during the year. But I think the way that this team gets summed up is something someone else said to me. I can't remember which member of talent. It might have even been Maven. He goes, "You never believe this team is going to win until they win. Like, no matter what happens, you never believe Gen G are going to win the event until they've actually won one, because they just haven't won one."
Yeah, and I still don't think they will. I mean, they pushed them all to a second best out of 5. They had some maps where they looked amazing. I do not know what is that mental block. I just think it's because they've got a team, and you look at them and you think, are there any championship level players in there? Team players who've done it time and time again.
And you won't think that until they win one.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They have every chance of doing the same as everyone else. I don't know whether it's just because we just don't have faith in this team to go the last step, the last hurdle, the second best of 5. But this team is been. I've liked this team all year. I liked this team back when it was originally Team Spacely.
Yeah, well, they were good.
Yeah. I also, by the way, think this kind of proves what everyone was bitching about the Spacely move. I think this kind of proves that like they knew roughly what they were doing in terms of going, because they said when that came in, they said they went back, they reverted it because they didn't feel like they would do better with Spacely. Turns out they wouldn't. They did exactly the same. But I like this team. I don't think they have a ton of weaknesses everywhere. I just don't think they're. How do I put this? It's one of those teams where if they had won this tournament, you'd be saying, "Yep, they've hit full elite level. No weaknesses, can tussle with anybody, should be crapping on lower teams." But maybe they're just missing that winning X factor for a championship. Like they're not my pick to win Worlds. They're just not.
No. But I think they'd probably be if we asked everyone, they'd probably be in the top 4 for a lot of.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I think closing out is tough because they could have very well easily beat United in that second best of 5. Obviously, there was technical difficulties and shit like that. But I think the reason why Gen G are so good is a lot of people look at Envoy and Havoc. Don't get me wrong, I think Envoy is like a top 3 player in the game right now. Havoc is insane. That sword duo is the same as your Simp and Abizi. But I also look at Morks. Morks' consistency is something that I think the likes of Rec doesn't have, or
he's got the smarts as well.
It's just
broke Octane's ankles in elevator for that kill in that 1v3. Ugh, send him the wrong way. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, that was disgusting.
That was fucking great.
And even across the board, like Nagafan actually had a really good event.
Didn't pull any trees up, but solid, I would say.
Yeah, I think it was just they're consistent, and I think they're all on the same page. They know how to play Black Ops 4, which I think some of the teams are still kind of playing on individual talent.
It's a good team. I think that's the best thing about this, is I think this is just a really good team. That quote has stuck with me watching Gen G throughout the year. Just don't ever think they're going to win until they win. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what situation they're in. This team, I want to say feels like Silver Surfers, but I don't know. Because they have all the components that they can do well. Like all of them. And we've seen that, right? Just the statistics throughout the year proves that this team has it. They have it. But do they have enough to go one step further?
But to be fair, I think if you asked that question of E United before the weekend, I don't know.
I disagree with that.
I know, but I just think
I thought they would win Anaheim.
I know, but after Anaheim and the way that they played, I was just like, well, I just didn't think they had it in them this year. But clearly, I was wrong. I mean, like, yes, okay, we've seen Sim go up, but then before the event, I had him in the same sort of mind as like Dylan, where he's like, how often can he do this? But then it was just like consistently, they were just doing great against.
They've got 2 of them though. That's the thing. Rec have Dylan. Gen G have 2 dominant swords. They have a dominant AR, They are.
I meant E
very,
United.
very rounded team. Oh, E United. I mean, same for they've got
Same to a point.
They've got kind of every like piece of the puzzle, and that's what makes Gen G and E United and Hunt These.
I know we're going to talk on E United, but I think it's like when Prestini plays well, they look amazing. But if he doesn't, then they look like.
Same with Arceus as well.
Yeah.
Arceus used to be Mr. Consistent. He's had a few.
Yeah. He's been up and down.
One hard point, he was 1-11. The other hard point, he was 11-1. I was like, okay. So he's odd, but it worked out for him.
I don't know. Let's move on to E United then, because first of all, couldn't have been happier for this team to win the event.
I was literally choked up when they won it.
I was a little bit. I was a little bit.
It's cutting onions in the venue.
If you don't let that affect you, right? You're definitely not a Call of Duty fan.
No.
Like
No.
I don't care what anyone says. It affected me, and I've been watching COD for like a decade. But this E United. So I actually think I picked E United to win Anaheim, and was less sure of them this event. And then
that's what I mean. Like I didn't think it was really in. It wasn't out of the
I thought it was
question,
Thieves. I think it was because we thought Thieves. I thought E United come like top 3. But they just played good. They just, even when it come down to tight games, they just had enough to hang in there. I was a little bit worried, admittedly, when Gen G won the first best of 5, 3-0. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember having some funny conversations in the green room when that was happening. I think it was Pac. He was like, "If they lose, I'm done." And he's going, "What?" Etc. Etc.
Because we had Facento was in the green room with us in the second best of 5, and he joked and went, "Well, I'm glad I found somebody to better watch the game now, because now it's going well." But I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, because E United just seemed to be, walked into that second best of 5 ready to go. Sometimes you don't see that from teams. Sometimes they say, oh crap, we've just been 3-0'd. But they walked in ready, and that Seaside hardpoint was so big for them, right? That it was the 119 point to the team that just 3-0'd you is fantastic.
Shows a lot,
and it was clearly their time. A lot of pressure was put on like Simp and the Twins and all that sort of stuff. People were saying Clay didn't have a dominant event, but you don't need to if you're doing your job.
I think if you told me it was Gen G that had to only win one, would they have ever been able to bounce back and win that second series 3-0? They don't have that. Gen G do not have that, whereas E United have that experience. They have that little spark. Whereas I feel like that's what Gen G are missing.
Yeah, I didn't think E United had that. As much as you look at Clay and experience, like I just thought they've got.
You think
3-0.
Pristine, you think, oh, well, he's probably going to be in his head.
Even Simp and Abizi, like great players, but like they've not had that experience of getting 3-0'd and then having to win. They beat Gen G in the semis, and like we knew that they could win. But when Gen G were cracked. They had beat 100 Thieves, they'd beat Rec, they'd beat FaZe, they'd then beat E United, and it was like, they 3-0'd FaZe, then they 3-0'd E United. It was like, they're not dropping a map, they're literally smashing everybody. And then EU pulled it out somehow, and I think it was winning that first hard point.
I'll be honest with you, I love the play where, was it Arceus that had to snap on the player coming over fences on Hacienda?
Arceus was diffusing.
No, it was
Pristini. Oh, sorry, was it Pristini?
Yeah, it was that.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, I know.
I was watching that as like, he just has to get the kill on him, and he's got a Sorg, like he's gonna jump this and just black the player, because the other player didn't know where he was. To be fair,
was it Envoy?
Was it Envoy?
No,
I was trying to remember. I love the play though. I loved it because clearly the thing about yourself if you're defending your teammate defusing in that situation, like. I don't think he knew exactly where he was, and even if he did, like you have to pick the exact part of the fence. One wrong move with a player who just has to shoot a person shooting back. That's all they have to do is just get the player who's in the open, and he just jumped the fence and he got absolutely snapped on. Like it was a full snap. Don't get me wrong, that player missed a couple of bullets as well, but that is the most high pressure situation you can be in. It almost feels like, although it's slightly different, if you go all the way back to Black Ops 2. The final kill in the S&D, Proof versus Killer, and just the pressure you're on to make that kill. Proof didn't make it in that regard, and Prestini did this time around. I mean, it's slightly different, bearing in mind it was champs and for the win. But like you have to put the pressure on. You have to put the absolute pressure on.
I think Envoy was a little bit unlucky as well. Like, he could have pushed the very left fence. He could have jumped over the fence. He could have pushed the little alley in the fence, or he got
one
the right
bet.
side of the barrel. Like it, and Prestini couldn't. It wasn't like Prestini played it smart. Prestini was sat in the right position. He was like, I've just got to try and kill him when he comes out. Where's he coming? There he is. And if Envoy didn't miss the bullets, Arceus dies. And that's what it comes down to for me. Prestini did snap onto him, but Envoy, it was like that hip fire.
But if he doesn't snap as quick, then there's another bullet that goes in.
Yeah. But again, it's just like it was
fine
a
margins,
very, very big kill. But as soon as he got that, it was like, oh, United have won. Yeah. And that was in the S&D.
Yeah. To be honest, I will say fair play to Genji after they had to replay that first map of the grand finals. I mean, what like
they
fair
came
play.
out and smoked them.
Yeah, I think they beat them by more.
So quickly before we go any further, questions in the chat. But I got to reiterate, right, about United. It was difficult watching them win because of the emotions involved. Like, you could tell the Clay. We all, don't get me wrong, the meme of 1400 days has been going on for a while, and he must have been feeling that. Like, just think about it. Every event you go to and everything, people are constantly reminding you how long it is since you last won. Yeah. Just over and over and over again. And then you're teaming with some players, you know, who want that W. Young players. I mean, I think I saw Prestini backstage as well. Like, he was in bits. The whole team was in bits after that win because it meant more to them than it has a lot of other teams. You know, they've come close so often. And don't get me wrong, you know, obviously Genji had their issues with their controllers and stuff, but mate, it was good to watch a United win.
I think it was good going into Sunday. I didn't care who won. I was like, we have a new champion. Is it FaZe, Genji, United, Rec? Like, I was kind of happy. I wanted Rec to win because of the European side of things. I wanted FaZe because of Scraps and Zero. But Genji or United, again, Genji, it would have been like 5 players which don't have the most social media presence, but like, it was teamwork that brought them through. United was the whole Clayster and the Twins and Sim getting a championship. Like, I just thought it was so exciting knowing that we had something different, which leads into champs of the stories. You know, we've had Optic, LG, United now, 100 Thieves back to back. Like, we've had multiple champions, and I think that just expresses or kind of elevates the fact that there's so much competition this year. But again, it all comes down to champs. And yes, I think we have a favourite, but also we know that favourite is beatable. If 100 Thieves won this event, champs, I feel, would have been so much like meh. I would have been like, oh, 100 Thieves back to back to back to back champs, and now again. And I don't know. I like the exciting storylines that it's brought to light.
I think without delving too deep into 100 Thieves, I think a lot of people were expecting them to win it, but to do that, like 3 events in a row at this level with this competition, like as high as the competitiveness of this game is now, would have been something else, man. Like, if they'd done that and won champs, they would have been guaranteed as like one of the best teams of all time for me.
Oh mate, I just reiterate, I love the fact that United won. It's not even like I was rooting for them during the tournament. It just, you could tell how hungry they were, and it really hammered it home afterwards. So I don't know, man. I'm happy to see that win go down.
Do you remember Prestini, like, he was so emotional, like in London, like hitting his table. Like, I think for me, and I don't usually do this, when someone wins, I'm just like, oh, they've won again. Like 100 Thieves, I don't think I spoke to them either. When United won, I was like, I made it a purpose to actually go over. Like, Prestini was crying over winning. It was just so nice to see that, like, hard work, dedication, all that kind of pays off. Because if you're always winning, you just like, you're the best, you're the champion, whatever. And I think United were kind of like an underdog coming into it in a certain sense. But seeing someone like Prestini, I think, like, just Clayster on the main stage, just in tears, because they knew that they had such like a mountain to climb. It was amazing. Yeah,
it certainly was, and I just enjoyed it. I couldn't help but enjoy it. I'll tell you what, right now, let's move on to questions from the chat. By the way, I did Clayster to come on to this show. But I do accept that he is obviously very busy and just come off a win. We will get him on at some point. I have spoke to Clay about coming on, but we'll try. Obviously, he deserves his rest and stuff. But let's get the questions in the chat. First question: how far do you think the boys can go at champs? Getting out of groups? Yeah, I think they go out of
groups,
groups.
and then it's hard to say. It depends who you get pulled against, but you're going to get pulled against teams who go top 2 in their group. So it depends who they get pulled against. Their group's going to be difficult either way. But I think I think they might get out of groups, and then we'll see.
Yeah.
Because anything happens when you get to that bracket.
Well, I think we need to see the pools.
Yeah.
Which will be soon.
When is the pool draw?
I don't know if I can say. I've got content to record between now and champs. Being the pool draw, being all the content and stuff like that. But hopefully pretty soon.
Yeah. Cool, yeah. Well, I'll be looking forward to that. Thoughts on the Mox rant? I think every player is going to.
What needed to be said about that?
It's difficult when it comes down to your own equipment failing. It sucks. Don't get me wrong. I fully empathise with him that is an issue that happened to him. However, it is always going to be the case that when your own equipment goes wrong, it's not an awful lot the refs can do sometimes. And it's everyone says, it's hard to have a half and fast rule. Is it 10 seconds into the hard point? Oh, it went wrong. Well, people are like, well, just reset it. It'll be fine. But then what if it's 15 seconds? It's only 5 more seconds. What if it's 20 seconds? That's only 5 more seconds. It's difficult, all right? It's never as easy as people think it is to make those hard calls. The only thing I will give, we'll say on the situation is that there is always consistency. They always try to be as consistent and fair as possible. And it sucks, but I understand why he's upset. Every pro will be upset if anything like that happens to him. So I can't, say, I feel like, he shouldn't have said anything. He was upset. I get that. Like, that's fine. And I don't want to really talk too much about it because it's none of my business. It's between him and the league and MLG and stuff. And it's been enough from both sides. We've seen Ginger G statements, we've seen Moxes, we've seen league ops in terms of Adam come through. I think it's every situation where that even has to be a question sucks, but it's been dealt with and we're now moving on.
It's esports, these little electrical components.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Could you extend the question time, please? Some key members are missing. That's because Tunny timed out Jono. My question, how does your hair seem to get worse over the years? It's easy. I just don't give a fuck what you think. Moving on. Is Waskins costing Rec? We talked about Waskins earlier on. He's just not been standing out this year. I don't think he's costing. Bear in mind, we don't know all of the way the team works and stuff. So I think for me, Waskins is in a good position. And nobody in that team has ever talked about dropping Waskins, so I don't think it's a problem. I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah.
Next question. How much does Phil get paid for this? Phil, it's your own question.
I get paid in friendship, love, and host after it. No, I don't get paid. I like doing this. Me and Brice and Tunn got to hang out at Miami, and it's always fun.
Once we get some sponsors.
I like doing this after an event because it's all fresh in my head. But then they hit me up and it's like, yo, you want to come on Spitfire? And I'm like, it's Pro League Week 17, episode 29. Like, no. But I do really enjoy the post event ones, and even if you guys do like a pre-champs one, that would be. We wouldn't. So here's the thing: after the pools are drawn, I'd love to come on and that is fun.
I want to do a pre-champs one while we're at champs. I haven't figured out how to do it yet, but I need some favors. We need to pull some serious favors to do it on the Tuesday.
We could just all be in the.
Can we? I want to ask production. I want to ask production if we can do it on the desk at champs when they're doing it. Instead of their tech rehearsals with them, do a tech rehearsals where we just do a Spitfire.
There is genuinely not a prayer that.
Yeah, I know. There's not a prayer and hope that. Obviously, way more important.
We might have to speak to Will.
But yeah, that's it. How much? How much shampoo does Momo use in his beard? I imagine the same amount he uses on his head. Yeah, 0. You don't put any shampoo in it.
Don't put shampoo in your beard. Do not put shampoo in your beard. Come on.
I don't know anything about that.
Never will.
No, never will. As an EU fan, going up against Quicker again is scary. Team's not bad.
Quicker had a good event. He had a good event.
Yeah, I mean the worst thing about that event for them is the fact they didn't call themselves Team Sween.
Yes,
disgusting.
I agree.
Agreed. I think we all agree on that one.
Paddy P to claim yet another ring. If they play Optic, yes.
Nope. They might be Optic, but nope.
But saying that, I think if you would ask me the same question last year, I was less certain last year. No, sorry, I was more certain that they wouldn't last year.
I think either year is just no.
Either year is no, but I was like, if you were to compare where they were last year and this year, I'd say
I think we should just dissolve Call of Duty esports if he wins another ring.
Yeah,
just like
choke
no,
it.
Ace is the best. Just
Give all the
Ace
investors
is the
their money
best.
back.
Yeah.
Give them back.
Yeah.
We'll just not play this.
Ace is the best. It's not fair. Why didn't you guys show the Italian team in Miami? Tunn actually hates the Italian team.
And we did show them.
Irrational hate. Yeah, irrational hatred against the Italians.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm actually going there for my honeymoon, so this is clearly not true.
Scraps missed the part where we're all slating FaZe how much they suck on Sunday.
Mate, we get S-Phase up. We thought they look great.
Joking, I'm joking.
Love Scraps. Scraps, you need to come on more often. That's the key. That's the key. We need more Scraps on Spitfire. Next question. Why doesn't Tunn have a gamer chair?
I don't like them.
Hey, go on, Brice, you say it.
He's pretentious. He is pretentious.
Mate, they're ergonomically not that good for you, technically. But we'll not talk about it.
Which one have you got, Brice?
Oh, here it is.
A bit of GTA Omega, mate.
Tunn's pretentious.
That's me.
Question from me: has Tunn been working out? Swanee's in the chat. Hey, Tunn,
Second
Hold
time
on, we'll
he's
get
asked
there.
me
We'll
that
get
today.
there. We haven't got there yet. Which is the team to watch at Champs?
I think both the finalists are good shouts. I would say.
What was the question? I missed that. Which is the
AM teams? AM
My
teams.
Too soon.
Oh.
Jesus. It's the boys and Team War. It's got to be those two because those two are also very close.
There's a question there. Who's the least sunburned out of all of you?
You literally asked that question yourself, Phil.
That would be me, being the pale ginger, as these two idiots are sunburned.
My nose is slightly still quite.
Yeah, you look like Rudolph, mate. My shoulders are bad.
It's the lighting. It's the lighting. More than anything.
I don't know if you can see. My shoulders are bad.
Cool. All right, Hulk, put it away.
Let's go through the let's go through the questions. Has Tunn been working out? I don't know. His deadlift. His deadlift form is shocking.
It's not shocking. It's not great. It's not shocking.
What do you class as working out?
Honestly, Tunn, it looks like you got rickets with how much your legs are going.
It's my legs. It's the way they are. They point inwards.
Well, you're supposed to have strong legs. Yours, you always kind of blag.
I had strong thighs, not strong anywhere else.
I don't know.
Weak knee joints.
To be fair, he falls off that bike a lot. They should have been.
He's unbalanced with his big bow legs. We can't lift.
Yes.
But yeah, I think Tunn's on workout for Worlds as are the rest of them.
You're encouraging it, and all I get is slander.
Yeah, to be fair, at least
that's because we started
he's
at
going
Anaheim
on to me, and he's like, post on social media, make yourself accountable.
Yeah,
and it's
I am
like,
making you
I
accountable.
am, and now all I'm getting is the piss ripped out of me, Bricey. So
bearing in mind you were in the first video where we announced the workout for Worlds thing at Anaheim, and then you started yesterday. You started yesterday.
Workout for Worlds, not workout for Miami.
Oh, mate. What was the next? There's another one. I just saw. Tunna and Brice, you're going to be casting at Champs.
Yes.
Yes.
Where we don't know.
Is that announced?
Mate, in fairness, nothing gets announced, but yeah, we'll be at Champs.
Could you imagine that? They bring us out every event all year, and then no,
Yeah,
there's no open
come on,
bracket
mate.
now,
Come on.
boys. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Can the Germans win a map at Champs? Team Divinely?
Yeah.
Sure. Depends on their group.
Probably.
They're pretty good though. Like
decent.
bearing in mind there's 2 AM teams in each group.
Yeah. So you're gonna go against other ARM teams?
Yeah.
Don't think they'll make out groups though.
Why are you taking the piss out of people with... Cheers, Jono. I'm taking the piss out of Tunn, not people with rickets. Who do you have winning Champs except 100T? Obviously E United.
E United, Genji, FaZe.
It's that top 4, isn't it?
Yeah, that's top 4, pretty much. And 100T.
Yeah.
Who do you have winning
When
Champs?
you get... Okay, last few questions and then we'll end the show. When are you getting the amazing Jono Perry on the show? That's down to Tunn. Tunn helps book the guests for this
Down
show.
to me, so it's never gonna happen.
Tunn said to me he's on the top of the list of people never coming on.
If John can sit here and have a serious conversation anytime I speak to him, then maybe.
I think Jono's a troll, but I think if Jono
Jono's
was on
a troll
it,
24/7, 100% of the time.
But I think I think me.
All right, here's a question, right? I've had this thought for a little while about a Spitfire episode where we set up a Discord and invite people in and we invite members of the stream in. Just
have you got any other good ideas that make me not lose my job?
Well, I mean, admittedly, I imagine there will be a hefty amount of abuse, but you know, we see YouTubers get away with it all the time. So
set up a
yes,
set up a Discord and then drag people in. We could do that.
When's the Cob Burner coming back on? I don't think Edgar's gonna come back on.
Although I would like to get him on and sort of go right. So why didn't you respond to Sensor? But
I don't know. I think if we did bring him on, Doug Sensor Martin would probably turn up behind me in the door and just jump in and say, "Gotcha!" just abseiling through the window. But yeah, I still want to do that Spitfire episode where we maybe bring in actual live people, but I don't know how bad it would go. I imagine people would swear, but what's the worst they're going to do is drop horrific words. Would just I just think people like say horrific things and probably racial slurs and stuff, and then we'll have to kick them. But you know what? I've seen that one question go that people do. I think it's really good, and I wouldn't mind seeing it for an episode.
Yeah, it's an off season.
2 hours.
Yeah, we have.
No, the stream's been live for was live for 20 minutes before we went live.
What a waste of my day.
And on that note, we are going to end the episode. Phil, anything last thing to say? Maybe to redeem yourself?
I would very much like John O'Perry to be on this amazing Spitfire. I would prefer if Brice was the host and Tunn was to be replaced by John O'Perry. Taps in the chat. Brice has a huge bicep, as you guys can all see. Brice is also wearing a Christmas jumper in the middle of summer, which we love.
By the way, the temperature's now above 28 degrees, just so we're clear.
Mate, Brice's solar system based thermometer over here. He's by the side of him. Brice also, we invested in Elon Musk's personal fan freeze room, which is the size of fucking, I don't even know.
Just a towel fan, Phil.
Why is it on your desk?
What else am I going to say?
It's 1,000 degrees in here.
No, I think that's it. I very much look forward to Champs, and for the next 3 weeks, I'll be streaming live on Momo PW7. Follow.
You're getting hosted.
Turn it on, Phil, so we can host you.
I will do. All right. Well, let me click streaming. But no, it's been a pleasure. I actually will say, on a serious note, I think that's the best event we've had in a very long time for gameplay-wise, for clutches, for European COD on the amateur side.
Miami was a serious vibe.
Hams and pros, the hotel, the sun, the beach, everything. It was sick. So if you weren't there, unlucky.
That was the best Monday after an event ever. It's great.
Brilliant.
It was great.
Brilliant. Tunn, ending statement from you?
Just Miami was quality. Thank you to everyone tuned in. Thank you to everyone who was watching the open bracket, tweeting me and Brice and whatnot, especially the Italians. Shout out the Italians. We'll be back next week. I'm just trying to think. So the draw is on
31st.
It's a week today. So why don't we do Thursday?
Oh, it's live. Okay, I didn't know if I could say it. But
someone said, so I think it's someone in the chat.
So why don't we do Thursday next week?
Thursday. Or we could do a late show.
It'll probably be 6 or 7. We'll find out the time of the draw.
Yeah.
And if it's a
we
reasonable
can do it straight
time,
after.
We'll go straight after.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
And from me, thank you all for watching, of course, and catching on the YouTube. We're always looking for guests, so always at your favourite pros, see if they want to come on. And we're also looking for the right sponsor at the moment, trying to figure out exactly who. But I don't know. I think we've only got maybe a dozen more episodes after this season before we reset it for the next game.
Yeah, we'll reset. I think we'll reset this series when Champs is over, and then we'll go to the off season.
I think Spitfire's a shit name.
I think Spitfire's a great name.
I'm just trolling.
Get him off.
On that note,
let's rename it John O'Perry Podcast.
Thank you all so much for watching Spitfire. It's been great. We'll see you next week after the bracket. See you then.